Here are 5 ways that your anxious attachment style can present itself at work. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Ratcliffe, and I'm a coach for people with an anxious attachment style. I've worked with hundreds of clients all over the globe to help them grow more secure. And I want to remind you that while anxious attachment is experienced most deeply and intensely in romantic relationships, it can also present itself in a professional context. So let's get into it. Sign number 1 that your anxious attachment is presenting at work is inbox 0. This is because as people with an anxious attachment style, we have a very deep-seated need for clarity and communication. So we oftentimes make ourselves overly available and will respond to emails immediately. So inbox 0 becomes a thing, meaning no unread messages. The second sign is if you struggle with feedback of any kind. Regardless of if it's critical or constructive criticism, keep in mind that folks with an anxious attachment style are hypersensitive and tend to engage in cognitive distortions such as personalizing, so making things that are not about them all about them and their abilities or their worth or lack thereof. And in addition, they will also engage in things like magnifying the bad or the points of, again, constructive feedback and minimizing the good. These are all cognitive distortions that distort the reality around us because of the instability we've experienced in our relationships previously. Number 3 is being triggered by a lack of response or availability. Folks like us who experience anxious attachment crave closeness and validation. If we're not hearing back from someone, it's incredibly triggering, whether it's a text or a work email, or not being able to fit into someone's calendar like your boss or a colleague that you really need to collaborate with. So in this way, we can start to grow very resentful, very angry, and we can lash out oftentimes in protest behavior. Number 4 is people pleasing. This comes with the territory of having an anxious attachment style and is very, very common to experience. So please know that this is not a bad thing, but it is a pattern that you can break. You do not need to be your boss's best friend or your colleague's best friend. You do not need to overextend yourself, which we'll get into in the next point either. So here's the thing. With people pleasing, please know that as human beings, we want to be well-liked. We are social creatures. If you do this at the expense of your own needs and well-being, it is toxic and harmful. The 5th and final one is a lack of boundaries. So if you're responding to work emails at 10, 11 p.m. or midnight, or if you're working on the weekends or going above and beyond, you need to stop that. You need boundaries, especially professionally.